So my name is Laura Denike. I teach English at Notre Dame Secondary School. I was teaching the girls in this course to focus on how to edit and peer edit their own work. And when I found out how talented they were in general, I decided to try this, I call it a stealth write. And they took one page and they created a story using a basic guideline. So I said, okay, there was 5 steps. I said, create a character, place that character in a setting, give them a goal, then lead an action towards the goal, give them an action, and then as they're about to attain the goal, take it away from them, then have an event following that, and then unite them with their goal. So that was a basic structure. If they felt that they could do a 1-page story on their own without that, they were welcome to, but I used that as a basis so they could have some kind of structure if they needed it.
So what did you have to do in preparation for today?
So essentially, we each wrote a 1-page story and Miss photocopied all of them and distributed one person's story per person. And now we are going to discuss our thoughts and our comments on each story.
Or I very much enjoyed blank. Or this part was amazing. It was okay. So then our constructive criticism, I would change blank. Like if it was me, I would change. I suggest, or blank would help develop blank. Something constructive. You're giving them an opinion of yourself and how to improve upon it. We'll try to do hand raising to speak instead of jumping in. Okay. Next, you want to use your literary language.
Miss has before we actually did the assignment, she gave us a few tips and steps, so that when we were actually giving the constructive criticism, we knew where we were going with it and what we were saying.
I was going to say that I really liked the story. I thought it was really cute and an interesting perspective. I also really liked the description of the colors. But I was confused if the siblings were leaves/branches or other trees. So that's what I was confused about. And again, the personification of the tree, I thought it was very interesting.
And the fact that the way we did it was anonymous is much better. If you're peer editing for your friend, you're okay, I don't want to really write this because I don't want them to get sad.
Would the writer like to reveal herself?
The positive comments, it's good obviously for myself as a writer, but it's nice to know that the point of view that you had struggled on, so then I try to make that more clear the next time if I wanted to revise that.
Yeah. Now, what was the point of view? Did you want it as the entire tree?
It was one leaf.
One leaf. Oh. Yeah, so it's a tree of brothers and sisters
with the other leaves.
Yeah.
And then the tree was kind of like their
Cousin verse?
Yeah, this experience actually helped a lot because I find that with the peer editing group, you get this perspectives of not just your teacher, but you get them from all your peers, all your students, and the positive feedback did help. It strengthened my belief in my story because I really liked my story when I first handed it in, and there's always that kind of second of self-doubt, but this kind of reinforced it when I heard all the positive comments. But then the constructive criticism also helped me in developing my writing skills because now I know where I could change it and what would make my story better and more effectively communicate it to the reader.
Have you had to comment on your colleagues' work before?
Yes, we have, but it wasn't vocal. It was on paper, so we would just read their writing and then write our comments and underline stuff. But I feel doing it as a circle and vocally, it's more understandable. You can explain better through oral communication, and it really helps more.
I would suggest maybe alternating the sentence structures a little bit, make some of them long, make some short, just to add suspense maybe, but other than that, it's great.
When you're peer sensing with a teacher, it's more like they're talking at you, but when you're peers, it's you're talking with each other to help each other out.
I laughed out loud. Well, I laughed throughout this, but this made me laugh the hardest. Okay, she was a 70-something woman named Rebecca who apparently loves gardening and aerobics.
When you're 70, you cannot really do aerobics.
Yeah, you can.
But even
Very limited.
Some people can.
I like that you took an approach to this assignment as like writing something like funny, something kind of humorous, whereas a lot of us took the approach of writing something, you know, like serious, like a YA novel, you know. There's a person, falls in love with another person, somebody's dead, the end.
Like when we're peer editing when we're peer editing, it's better because like our audience is our peers, and so we're talking to like a less mature audience. Yeah, I think
It's more relatable.
yeah, we can relate.
I just want to say that I like the part where it said he was typing sweet messages with 2 fingers, because that's such an old man thing to do, to like type like this. And I thought it was so cute.
yeah, that's my dad.
I think that the pros to peer assessment as opposed to teacher assessment is because, like, obviously the teacher knows what they're talking about, whereas peer assessment, it's like you're reading and you're writing and you're perfecting your own skills, and then by telling the other person, you're helping them as well. So it's like both sides benefit.
Yeah, like the more opinions you can get on a piece of writing, like the better it is. So I think like it benefits us that, and plus like students, like we tend to have like creative, different ideas. So the fact that we get to like have our own opinion we put on that piece of work, like I like the fact that, you know, it's student involvement as well.
Yeah, like with my story, we have a strange story about a cashew. So it's like some people were confused of the perspective and the main goal, what the wheel was, and so that's something that I can improve on. But then also the strange perspective is something that people actually like and think that it's humorous. So that's something that I would keep doing.
I will say that I am so thrilled that so many people went way outside of their comfort zone when they wrote. Like I talked about all the different crazy ways that you could, and you guys actually did it. That makes me so happy, because I find that some writers have such a difficult time getting out of their own head and into somebody else's, especially, you know, a tree or a leaf or a cat or whichever. So I really enjoyed that.
I felt that when I created my masterpiece, it was good, I guess, but I was really nervous because it was a strange perspective, and I'm like, I don't know, this is a little like beyond a comfort zone of a perspective, like it's a cashew. But then getting the feedback was so great that people actually understood what it was and everything. So yeah, I felt good after.
So at first I knew it was to the best of my abilities, so however, I was still kind of anxious because I didn't know whether it would meet the teacher's expectations or not. Just like how she marks and stuff, especially if it's the very first writing assignment, you don't really know how the teacher marks it. But after the comments and like the positive feedback and everything, I felt like I didn't have to feel anxious, like, you know.
So this was a really ambitious group, so I didn't really have the experience with a great group like I had with these girls. I've been in schools where it was sort of used kind of with different groups of levels, so this allowed me to really try it out and make sure that it was a successful run-through.
Yes, you had a chance to look at their papers before giving them out to the students to assess. Mm-hmm. And where do you think, when we were reading their papers, where do you think that they were in relation to the expectations that they had to meet through this writing assignment?
They had already done a small, I tried to make it small, short story assignment to which I had assessed and commented on before, and I saw how strong they were just on writing on their own. We had done like this journey reading exercise where I gave them points in a story, and then they had to elaborate on them and create a short story out of it. So they had experience writing a short story. Yeah, so I did all of these things, looked at it, saw how strong they were, and I said, you know, I remember this from my high school experience, and I tried it in a situation before, and I thought, I really want to try it with these girls because I felt that it would be significantly successful, and I think that the girls would like it. So I suggested it to them. I actually asked them if they thought that this was something that they wanted to do. And they thought it was a great idea. They in fact got really, they're a very spunky bunch, so they really loved it, and they were very happy to try it. And I had suggested doing it on the short story, in poetry, and anything else we could really fit it into creatively. I still feel like the two groups would have been successful, but they gave me all the stories and I read through them to make sure that there wasn't any appropriate content, and I was excited because they're all amazing. So I was going through the stories and I thought, I can't divide these girls up and give one group 10 and the other group 11 books. I didn't feel that I could separate them, that I would stop one group from reading the others. So I wanted to do a large group, but I feel if we did a smaller group, like literature circles, like teeny weeny little ones where there's only 6 or 7 of them, that they would have a more in-depth personal conversation, less teacher-driven and then student-driven. So they each were able to go through and talk about it. But it's also smaller with the little groups, I think, because I think that the girls would know almost immediately who wrote it because of the variety of characters that are in the classes, or this class specifically. I think they know more that they were written by certain students.
Well, I gave the feedback, and what I learned personally was that if you are able to articulate your constructive criticism in a way that they can understand it without feeling offended, that's what I personally learned, that it makes such a difference. Like, as opposed to just saying, oh, I didn't like this, as opposed to saying, I would prefer if you were to change. There's a lot of a difference than I realized from before. There's more of a difference.
So the language that you use to offer the comment is important.
Yeah.
And this is something that you can transfer to
everyday life.
Exactly.
everyday life.